The scheduled NFL 2024 schedule release has been delayed by at least 3 days. Is Christmas holding up the release of the schedule? Rick Carlisle criticizes the NBA officials in his 2-0 series deficit against the Knicks, citing market size of Indianapolis and New York. The Utah NHL team puts out 20 names for a potential fan vote for what will be the new Utah hockey team's name. We'll recap the NHL draft lottery, and things go spherical for the NHL draft coming up in June in Las Vegas, Nevada. And Roger Penske drops the hammer on his auto racing team as the Indy 500 comes up, though, all over abuse of software. That and more on Press Row, live right here and right now. This Coast to Coast Entertainment Network program is brought to you by Beside Me Bracelets. Our bracelets are handmade for any occasion. Use the promo code Coast to Coast for 15% off. Visit their website at besideme.com. Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry. With 24-hour shopping available, use the code 160920 and show her some love, like she showed us. Reaper Apparel Company, a commitment to live your most authentic way every single day. Visit reaperapparelco.com for more information and a look at all of their apparel offerings. And by Good Day Embroidery, your local source for custom embroidery, screen printing, and more. Log on to gooddayembroidery.com for more information. High noon on a Thursday in America's finest city, the May Gray, rolling in on this Thursday afternoon, May the 9th, 2024. Welcome in, folks, to Press Row, live as always here on the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. Emanating live from San Diego, California. Over the next hour, as always, folks, we'll dive into the biggest sports news of the day from the angles of sports business and sports media. An action-packed show today covering things in the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, and over in the Indy 500 this upcoming here on Thursday here today. As a reminder, folks, as always, we invite your input again with your live commentary, questions, comments, or concerns, hot takes, cold takes, loony takes, or freezing cold or burning hot takes in the live chat box, either on Facebook, YouTube, or on the Callan McClurg Sports Twitch channel. And of course, folks, as a reminder, Saturday we have more live Oregon Cougars tackle football coming your way on Saturday against the Capital Pioneers at 6 p.m. Pacific time. We'll have kickoff and have coverage for you back here on C2C at roughly 5 in the afternoon from Eugene, Oregon. With that in mind, folks, into the big board of topics today for this May 9th. And our first topic, folks, will send us over to the NFL. Of course, the upcoming 2024 schedule will be released, but has been delayed by at least 3 days. The NFL announced earlier in the week that this year's schedule release will be released on May 15th, coming up next Wednesday, literally a week from today, at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 o'clock Eastern, which is a departure from the usual May 12th release date. The reason, though, for the delay is unclear, but it is speculated that the league is adding 2 games on Christmas Day, despite previously announcing plans to not play games if Christmas Day fell on a Tuesday or Wednesday. This likely required coordination with teams, media partners, and scheduling details. But there's another possibility, though, too, that the NFL wants to turn the schedule release into a larger event for television, similar to how March Madness opens up with Selection Sunday. While teams are times in order of games, and in previous seasons, teams have used very creative methods to reveal their schedules via great IG and social media content. We folks know that the NFL draft kind of kicks off the new year for the NFL in late April. Then, of course, when the schedule drops, that's almost like when the ball really drops in Times Square for the NFL to start operation. We have, though, folks, heard the rumblings and rumors being out there about the NFL leaning towards a 18-game schedule and basically axing 2 of the 4 preseason games to somewhat in a way speed up the season. I would hope if you do, in fact, do that quickly, just kind of giving my thoughts on an 18-game schedule, I'd be for it as long as you add 2 bye weeks, as long as you have one, like a early season bye week and then a later season bye week, because now you're playing 18 games. But with the release now, the schedule being delayed, now part of it, I would also imagine, it is a holiday. It's Mother's Day on Sunday. But also now I think the NFL taking over Christmas Day from the NBA is now a inevitable talking point. We saw this, of course, last season where the NFL put, I think, 2 games or 3 games on during the slew of 6 NBA basketball games on Christmas Day. This is just, in a way, the NFL being the iron fist ruler of North American professional sports. And again, I know that I do not like the NFL, but I get, though, like I've said, though, I would want my league to have eyeballs on it every day of the week, regardless if our league plays on these days traditionally or not, which is why you don't see other leagues infringing upon Thanksgiving Day, because that is the NFL holiday. I could see, though, as well, why is the NFL now overstepping their boundaries when every other league holds back on playing Thanksgiving Day? Like everyone else will play Black Friday or day before Thanksgiving Day. But now the NFL all of a sudden feels the need to kind of, in a way, take away viewership from what would be the NBA holiday, which is Christmas Day, where teams don't play usually on Christmas Eve, or they usually play day after Christmas. So I would think that it would be more of an issue that right now they are going to be planning to play these games on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, whatever day Christmas Day does fall on in 2024. And this is the holdup right now for the NFL schedule. Again, I would be, folks, totally for the NFL continuing to add to their portfolio. However, I do kind of think, though, that this is a little bit of a crossing that line a little bit for another season. That now you are, again, kind of in a way taking people's eyeballs off of the NBA's holiday for the NFL product. Now, again, that may be, Debbie Downer anti-NFL fans thought over here. I just think, though, with how the NFL has every other league basically caving into them, like bowing to their demands of you cannot play on Thanksgiving Day, that is our holiday. Now the NFL, in a way, kind of goes over and crosses that line of the sand of now taking away NBA fans' viewership if they are also NFL fans. But again, like I said, though, too, to back my own personal thoughts, though, like I have said about the ongoing NBA media war right now with what may be happening with Turner and NBC, if I am a commissioner of a league, I want eyeballs across the nation on my league Monday through Sunday and any day ending in the letter Y. So I can totally understand why the NFL wants to now get in on the Christmas Day action, even if it's not a traditional football day like Thursday or Sunday, or for that matter, when they start playing Saturday games once the college football regular season comes to a conclusion. I also think, though, just more about getting teams on board, I would think, too, to play on Christmas Day. We hear about the badge of honor that the NFL players who get to play on Thanksgiving Day have, if you're not Detroit or Dallas. Like, you are used to that happening. But if you are a team playing in that evening time slot, like, for example, I believe it was the Niners playing Baltimore, I think, last season in the last time slot for Thanksgiving Day for the NFL, that's a badge of honor that doesn't happen a lot unless you happen to play with the Lions or with the Cowboys. Like, you always will play on Thanksgiving Day as long as you play for Detroit or for Dallas. I would think, though, too, in the NBA, if you play for the Lakers, you're going to play every Christmas Day in some roundabout capacity, 9 times out of 10. But you also, I think, though, and I can see, though, why that there might be a small little delay here, though, too. Where's the fatigue factor? If we are talking about teams playing on a short week, now that Christmas Day is not on a traditional NFL game day like Thursday, late season Saturdays or Sundays, or even a Monday. Do you really have a chance to let these guys maybe play a Sunday game, rest up for 2 days, and play again like on a Wednesday for Christmas Day? That would be more of my concern, is the fatigue factor setting in, especially if we are coming down the stretch run of the NFL season and the game has significant playoff meaning, where you feel like you're rushing a team back onto the field, and maybe someone gets hurt, though, for a team who needs that victory on Christmas Day to maybe leapfrog a team in the wild card race or the divisional standings. That would be my only concern about maybe the short week being a thing now, and maybe even a shorter week, especially if Christmas Day is not falling on a traditional football game day, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, you name it. I also, though, would really, like to see the NFL go with the third to last bullet point and make this like a mega spectacular for football fans. The draft is already the big is like the mega star of the offseason. And for the NFL, I would definitely want to see them capture lightning in a bottle. You have that draft day enthusiasm, but now let's do it again, though, with this like Selection Sunday style show where you kind of, in a way, unveil the schedules for all 32 teams in this mega like 8-hour event. You unveil your national television schedules. Then you kind of, in a way, unveil Thanksgiving Day, the Christmas slate, for example, or maybe New Year's Day slate. Like, I would love to see that come to fruition with the NFL. Again, I am not the biggest NFL fan, but again, if I'm getting eyeballs on my league, well, after this great draft that we had in Detroit, like 300,000 people all 3 or 4 days in Detroit at the draft, I would love to see lightning in a bottle get captured by the NFL and make the schedule release. Though I know that teams have gotten very creative. I think about this person that I follow on Instagram. Her name is Kelly Kobayashi. She works for ESPN in the content department and is also a Disneyland and Disney influencer. And her content for the NFL draft was like over 100,000 views, and she was so proud of her content. And I know the hard work that goes in that, like what Kelly does, for example, or what other people I know that maybe are that influencer role. But when you create content for a living, these schedule releases have been great by the teams. But I would like to see this league, again, even though I am not a big NFL proponent, but I would definitely be on board if you make your schedule release just like Selection Sunday. You release the big games that you'll have on national TV for Monday Night Football, TNF, Sunday, like SNF on NBC, and then kind of in a way break down, I would probably say break down all 32 teams, like make it an 8-hour spectacular in a way. I mean, if people can sit through the draft, they can sit through the schedule release party on ESPN, for example. But again, folks, the NFL schedule release has been delayed by at least 3 days from Sunday to next Wednesday, which is a departure from their usual early May or 12th day of May release date due to the fact of some unclear factors. But again, there's been some spattering of talk about a potential Christmas Day slate, even though it will not be on a Tuesday or Wednesday, or that it will not be on a regular football game day, I should say. They are trying to require coordination right now with the teams, the media partners, and other scheduling details. And also the NFL is trying to perhaps tease a potential schedule release party into a larger TV event, similar to how the NCAA does Selection Sunday for men's and women's college basketball. Again, teams know their opponents right now. They're also awaiting the specific dates, the times, and all that in the order of gameplay. And, of course, teams have also been using creative methods recently, again, to reveal their schedules. I think the Chargers did like an anime release. The Titans had people try to guess the logo of who teams were going to be playing. I think some teams have gotten very creative. I know that a lot of other teams do these sort of reveals when it comes to the schedule. But I would think, though, I would be all for the third to last bullet point and make this a mega TV event at this rate in this point in time. Our good man, Jack Braun, is enjoying some chicken ravioli and watching the show in his other hand. Jack, as always, my man, thank you so much for your support of Coast to Coast and of Press Row and for all of our programs here, man. It really does mean a lot to me and for the entire cast and crew. Jack does give his thoughts about the release of a schedule. He says, I do believe personally the league should open up with a rematch of the Super Bowl from last season. Chiefs played the Niners again this year, I believe, at Arrowhead. So opening night versus them could be so appropriate, or open versus the Texans, or maybe someone else as well. Jack, I think there's nothing better, man, than when there's a rematch of like a very cool or great epic playoff series or the league final rematch. I really wish that would have happened with the Rangers and Diamondbacks this year, but so they played the Cubs and they unfurled the banner. But I would definitely, Jack, think, though, that the NFL, I think they have kind of done that right. I think the NBA's done that right, though, too, Jack. They had the Lakers play the Nuggets in a rematch of the NBA Finals last season and opening night this year. So I think if you want to further, like, continue this story, I mean, if you're a wrestling fan, we always heard about Cody Rhodes finishing his story at WrestleMania 40. Continue the story. Chiefs, Niners, and Arrowhead again when they get their rings and unfurl another banner. Make it happen, basically. So, Jack, I agree with you, buddy, 110%. Let's, folks, move on to quite a very rough story in the NBA, but the Pacers and their head coach, Rick Carlisle, expressed his major frustration with the officiating in their playoff series against the New York Knicks. After his team fell down 2-0, Rick Carlisle submitted 78 missed calls to the league front office that he believed were problematic in the first 2 games of the series at the Garden. He also made the very bizarre argument that small market teams deserve better and fair treatment regardless of where the games are being played. However, his own players, including lead star Tyrese Halliburton, disagree with their head coach, admitting that they were outplayed by the Knicks and had to improve. Now, of course, the officiating has not been flawless, with a mistaken kick ball call in Game 1 that resulted in a huge 3-point swing for the Knicks in the end, or towards the end of Game 1. And Rick was also tossed in Game 2 for disputing a missed double dribble call late in Game 2 at MSG. I'm in a small market city in San Diego, but even this is reaching for straws. And I love and respect Rick Carlisle for his time with the Pacers, the first go around, then in Dallas, and now back with the Pacers. But bullet point 3 is just reaching for straws. So is bullet point 2. How in the world are you submitting nearly 80 missed calls through 2 games to the league front office, knowing damn well that nothing will come out of it? Again, if anyone out there knows me well, the last 2-minute report in basketball can be put right through the paper shredder. It means nothing when the league does go back and reaffirm, well, hey, we missed this call, we missed that call. Again, I hate to say it, Coach Carlisle, but the officials are not going to get every single call correct. And I really think, though, that bullet point 3 is just a major reach-in. It's a major reach-in foul on Coach Carlisle. If we're going to start blaming teams losing in the playoffs based on their market size, that is absolutely pathetic. And I hate to say it, it's horseshit. I mean, if we're going to actually sit here right now and actually believe for the small fact that the Pacers are in Indianapolis, Indiana, playing against the big bad New York Knicks, and the reason that they're losing or they lost the first 2 games is because they're a small market franchise, I hate to say it, but I call horseshit. I really do. And I'm actually glad, though, that Tyrese Halliburton and other players strongly opposed those remarks, saying the officials had nothing to do with this. We have to play better. And Game 1, I think, showed me, though, that the Pacers don't know how to close out ball games. Now, I agree, though, that the officials have not been on their A game in this series. I would also agree about them not being on their A game right now in the other series involving the Wolves and the Nuggets that saw Jamal Murray get fined $100K for hurling the towel and hurling the heating pack onto the floor during the course of play at referee Mark Davis. And I think that Carlisle getting ejected, though, in Game 2 for disputing that double dribble was where the volcano blew up. I totally understand the frustration that him and Mike Malone may have, though. But for a veteran coach, though, in Rick Carlisle, to make the lazy excuse of small market syndrome being why his basketball team is behind 2-0, That is absolute horseshit. And I hate to again kind of say that, but I don't believe that 1 second. I think that the players are so right. They have been getting outplayed by a Knicks team who has been ravaged by injury, and they've had 6 healthy players playing in this series. And for goodness sakes as well, 2 of them are big name players, and they both have been battling injury in OG and also with Jalen Brunson. But I really denounce these remarks. I denounce the remarks made, and mainly for the third bullet point of the lazy excuse of, oh, we're behind 2-0 because it's Indianapolis and we're playing the New York Knicks. I think I'm more embarrassed that Rick Carlisle made these comments. Highly respected head coach. Again, I've loved Rick during his entire coaching tenure. And again, being in a small market city, I don't want to play that card or use that as an excuse as to why the Padres are 20-20 or why the Pacers are now down 2-0. I really think, though, that third bullet point, though, is what really is making me a little bit upset here in a fellow small market city. That now we're going to blame the officials calling certain things in favor of the Knicks because it's a small market franchise. Front Office Sports, though, had a great bullet point in their story today. I don't hear the Timberwolves complaining. I don't hear the Thunder complaining about their market size. Oh, that's right, Rick. It's because they're up 2-0 or 1-0. I don't hear the Mavericks complaining about being down 1-0 because of their market size. I don't hear Denver complaining about being down 2-0 because of their market size. It's a lazy excuse. It is a lazy excuse to actually try to claim that because you're in a small market operating with a bottom 5 payroll in the NBA, that's why you're down 2-0. I would say look at the film and look at how poorly your team played in crunch time when the going got tough. Within 1, within 2. And a better ball club just happened to win the games. Your team did not lose the game because the Pacers operate on a shoestring budget like the Padres. I'm really just more baffled that it was a coach like Rick Carlisle making these really idiotic remarks. And again, I applaud Tyrese Halliburton and TJ McConnell, who went public and said, we may love our coach, but I don't agree with this. This is on us to play better and not choke away a lead and take advantage, though, when Brunson and OG Anunoby are out of the game. This is on us, the players. It's not about the referees. It's not about our TV market size or how many fans come to our home games. I just think that Rick Carlisle's commentary was inflammatory by basically saying, oh, the league's overlooking Indiana because we're a small market franchise. I think I also have a little bit of a problem and a gripe, though, that the Pacers actually have the utter audacity to submit nearly 80 missed calls through 2 games. What's it going to get you guys? It's going to get you nothing. You know what it did get you? A nice, beautifully typed 12-point Times New Roman memo called the NBA Last 2-Minute Report. Our officiating crew missed a potential kicked ball violation in Game 1. The officials in Game 2 botched a double dribble. That's what it's going to get you guys. It's not going to get you a W. You'll get a nice little, hey, we're sorry, we screwed up, and that's it. It's not going to flip the scoreboard and flip it from an L to a W. Now, on the flip side, could this be used as like a motivating factor for his team? I don't think so. I kind of feel like, and honestly, I kind of feel like, though, Rick Carlisle has lost the locker room. That may be bogus to say. But, though, when the star of your franchise and Tyrese Halliburton comes out and does not defend his coach for his commentary, that should tell you that the players right now have their own mindset in place And Coach Carlisle is too caught up right now worrying about the referees missing maybe an illegal screen, as was another call I'm sure was sent into the league front office from game one. But folks, as a fellow small market fan, I don't buy these remarks one bit. It is not a factor as to why the Pacers have gone down 2-0. It is more for the fact of it's a team who's learning how to win in the postseason, who kind of in a way hit the self-destruct button in the worst part of the game in crunch time. It's not about the officiating crew missing 78 calls in Rick Carlisle's mind. And it sure as hell is not about the fact that the Pacers operate with limited money on the payroll and that it's a small market franchise. If that was the case, I'd be hearing the Wolves complaining or the Thunder complaining. They're up in their series. Like, what do they have to complain about? The Wolves have won their first 6 straight playoff games. I don't hear them complaining about market size, population, TV market size. And I sure as hell don't hear Oklahoma City saying anything. They're up 1-0 on a very good Dallas team led by Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. I don't hear their head coach, who's an NBA G League former coach turned NBA head coach who might win Coach of the Year, complaining about the fact that this was the Supersonics at one point in time, and now they're in Oklahoma City, or they're the only show in town. Again, I just think it's reaching for straws that Rick Carlisle, veteran established coach, probably going to be in the Hall of Fame one day, for a veteran NBA coach to say that it's about the size of the market that the team plays in as to why they've lost 2 games on the court, that's rough. Again, that would literally be like me complaining earlier back in March about the Padres and Dodgers playing those 2 games in Korea. That would literally be like me making excuses for the Padres or Angels having the records that they have right now because of market size. Believe me, I defend my hometown franchise every day when people want to make remarks about you can't sustain this. You know, you got Luis Ariz, yeah, but you're not going to be able to pay him next season. Times are different here in San Diego. And I know that the Padres really, tick a lot of fans off. I don't care. That's never happened in my lifetime where now the Padres seem like they're a villain all of a sudden with Machado and Tatis and Ariz and all these other players on the roster. Peter Seidler kind of, in a way, kicked that small market can down the road when they bought the club 10 years ago before he, unfortunately, passed away. I'm just more admit to the fact that it's a big-name NBA coach in Rick Carlisle making this very lazy, pathetic excuse that I would think a fan would be saying. And I'm sure one particular co-host on this network who would say an excuse like that to talk about his beloved Phoenix Suns or his Lakers or whatever team he roots for in the NBA. That's about the market size of the team as to why they're down 2-0. I just think it's a very bad look for Rick Carlisle to even make those remarks. I get the frustration, though. I get the frustration about the illegal screen that was called in game 1, the botch kick ball in game 1, the double dribble that was not called in game 2, and why he got tossed at the very end of game 2 on Wednesday night. I get that frustration, but don't give us this piss poor excuse about it being about the fact that you play in a small NBA market and that your payroll's in the bottom 5 of the NBA. I just cannot defend those remarks whatsoever as a fellow small market sports fan here in San Diego, California. Go back and watch the reels that we put out back in November about the IST, about how that Indiana fan base was rocking Gainbridge Fieldhouse when they beat the almighty Celtics in a meaningless game in December for the in-season tournament, but how that really got that fan base on board and I really think helped spring them to the postseason. I really defended the Pacers during the in-season tournament, and then we ultimately lost to the Lakers. And I wanted them to win that tournament so badly because I knew about the payroll disparities that this team operates with. But that's not an excuse why you lost the IST final or why you are now behind 2 games to none against the Knicks. You can claim about the fact, like James always says, that the Knicks have the league front office in their back pocket being in Manhattan. But that is such a lazy excuse for a established, well-known, well-loved, and respected head coach to make that remark. I just cannot defend that one bit, one iota, case closed. Jason Barber agrees with me. What a great point that Callan made. And that the Pacers, he also said, they had no guts to pull it out at the end. Exactly, Jason. They do not know how to close games out yet because this is a young team learning on the fly kind of in a way. It doesn't boil down to population of the New York metro area compared to Indianapolis to why they lost the game at the end. I just think that this is just a bunch of malarkey. And again, I hate to say it, but the remarks are horseshit. They really are, sadly, at this rate. Let's, folks, move on to the National Hockey League, the Great Name Game. Announced on Wednesday, the Utah NHL franchise, the former Arizona Coyotes, is now seeking your help in choosing their new name. Jazz owner and Real Salt Lake owner Ryan Smith recently purchased the now defunct Arizona Coyotes, who are on hiatus, and put a survey out on social media back in early April. Fans can now vote up to 4 names out of a list of 20 suggestions until May 22nd. Now, again, folks, James and I talked about this a little bit on C2C at 9 on Tuesday. There will be no team name for the Utah franchise this upcoming season. They will just be called the Utah Hockey Team or Utah for the 24-25 season. Some of the names on the list will pay homage to the region's weather and winter sports and skiing culture, while others connect to Utah's nickname as the Beehive State. Some suggestions even seem more suitable, though, for some minor league baseball franchises. Of course, Ryan Smith did bought the Coyotes from Alex Marullo, who kept the rights to the Coyotes name, logo, and branding. The franchise will have to still make improvements right now to the Delta Center where the Jazz currently play, build secure a practice venue, and sell tickets. That has already helped, though, because the fans have already shown their support already by having 20,000 season ticket deposits received within 1 day of the announcement of the Coyotes relocating to Salt Lake City. Before we get to the list of names, folks, the last bullet point, though, is so true. I recall roughly in the summer of 2012 when I graduated high school, my mom and my grandparents took me to Vegas for my graduation party, though I was 18. But this was around the time, though, that the first rumblings of an NHL franchise to Las Vegas kind of began to get started. And how the NHL does their business when it boils down to expansion, or in this case, relocation. Ownership, of course, is one thing, but you also have to sell a certain number of season ticket deposits. I think the early number is 10,000. So Vegas got this going when they wanted to get involved here. They had the ownership group with Bill Foley. Then they had to sell X amount of season ticket deposits. And, of course, that passed with flying colors. And now we have the Golden Knights in Vegas and their success right now across roughly 7 years of play. So to me, I always kind of thought that SLC and Utah would be a perfect market for the NHL because of the wintertime culture. That's why I thought Vegas was going to succeed, regardless of tomfoolery that people still want to say about it in 2017, because that was going to give Las Vegas as a city something for tourists to come do over the off season, from the summertime fun of the hot heat or the hot weather, the pools, Steve Aoki playing concerts at Mandalay Bay at the pool area, but give Vegas off season revenue in the winter. And having gone to a couple of Knights games in the past, I went last year over Christmas against St. Louis and went to a preseason game. And the Buzz, that was my name actually for the Utah franchise, but sadly they did not make the cut. I'm a little sad about that. But like the vibe around Vegas in the winter now has just skyrocketed, because now fans of opposing teams will come in and enjoy their time during the winter time and go watch their favorite team play or just experience a NHL game in Vegas. But of course, now Utah puts out their list of teams. So with that, What did they pick for their 20 names? It's a laundry list. Again, a lot of them, though, do pay homage to the Salt Lake City area, Utah as a whole. Some other names are a little bit interesting here, but some tie into the Beehive culture. Let's run through these names real quick. Outlaws, Frost, Powder, Canyons, Squall, Freeze, Swarm, Blast, Ice, HC or Hockey Club, Black Diamonds, Caribou, Fury, Hive, Mountaineers, Blizzard, Yeti, Mammoth, Glaciers, and Venom. So, folks, you can vote on these 20 names, and you can pick 4 up until May 22nd in the survey. Let's kind of run through the 20 names first. Outlaws, while it would be cool, would not work. There is a professional lacrosse team in Denver who could say no. I love the Frost. Again, I love that there are names tying into the winter culture, the skiing culture in Utah. Powder, I was like, wait a second, Powder, snow. Don't know about that though, because you could be kind of in a way maybe going down a little bit of a like questionable rabbit hole, as you probably know. Canyons, I get where they're coming from with the famed stone arch that the Jazz have used as one of their City Edition uniforms. Never heard of Squall, sadly, unless someone can tell me that in the chat box. Freeze, definitely approve. Again, wintertime product. Blast was a little bit interesting. Not sure where they would get that name from. Utah Ice, again, can totally see it again. Wintertime culture. I absolutely do not want Utah Hockey Club. This is not soccer. This is not, no, absolutely not. I would want a team to have a mascot. I don't want Utah HC or Utah Hockey Club. Save that for minor league sports or save that for European or for soccer. Utah Black Diamonds was interesting. A little bit cool. Don't know, though, how I would feel about another team being dubbed by a color minus the Golden Knights. Caribou was interesting. Again, tying in the Utah animal population. Pretty awesome. Utah Fury. Don't quite know about that one. Hive is probably about as close as it'll be for me to get my bee mascot name. Again, Beehive State for Utah. Mountaineers is a bit of a wild card, but I do wonder, though, if like West Virginia would probably throw a fit about that, sadly. Blizzard, absolutely, because of the 2 Zs to keep it in line with the Utah Jazz. I think Yeti will probably be the ultimate winner, but I could also, though, see the Avalanche throwing a fit of like, wait a minute here, folks. Hey, hold on a second here. Avalanche have already used the Yeti footprint as a logo. Hands off. No way. Utah Mammoth, like it, won't work. Colorado Mammoth already are a team in the NLL. Utah Glaciers, I would have thought maybe something that would be for Alaska, maybe, sadly, if there was ever a team back up there. But I could see it, though. And Utah Venom is actually a wild card for me, too. So then I took this list, folks, and in the top right corner of the slide, I narrowed it down from 20 to my top 10. I really like the wintertime or state culture tied in names. So I went in no particular order: Freeze, Swarm, Ice, the Black Diamonds, the Hive, the Mountaineers, Blizzard, Yeti, Glaciers, and Venom for my top 10. I really think, though, if we were going to really make this Utah's team, like how the Utah Jazz are, other than Real Salt Lake, the Smith family also owns the Utah Royals of the NWSL. So if this is going to be Utah's team, this has to invoke something about Utah's culture. Again, wintertime sports, Olympic sports. I was a little bit bummed, again, like that my name of the Buzz didn't make it. So again, I cried some tears this morning when I saw that the list came out and didn't have my name of Buzz on there, though I made the ESPN.com story. And I was a little bummed too that Olympians didn't make it, because Utah is also known for the Winter Olympic Games. So then I put one more name in out of the 4, because you can only pick 4, so I actually picked 5, sadly. But my final 4 or final 5 was Swarm, Hive, Blizzard, Yeti, and Venom. If I was going to pick my top four, it'd be Swarm, Hive, Blizzard, and Yeti. Because again, I think that this needs to be a name that really fits the Utah culture. Again, Swarm is about as close as I can get to my beloved name of Buzz again, but again, it keeps the Beehive and bee culture alive with the name. Now, will the Bruins and Penguins throw a bitch fit about black and yellow for being colors? Yeah, but who cares? So Swarm and Hive make it for me from the Beehive or the bee culture side of it. Blizzard and Yeti make it for me with the winter culture of Utah. Again, Blizzard for me works, again, because I would think, though, that like how the Utah Jazz first brought the Utah Stars into the WNBA back in the 90s, the team was branded as STARZZ. And having Blizzard also having the two Z's in there would align so well, again, with the Utah Jazz and Ryan Smith and his wife owning the Jazz in the team. Ultimately, I do believe Yeti will win because I think people like the myth. Seattle Kraken, for example, just a couple years ago. And I think we've all been enamored in a way by Sasquatch. My only concern, though, would be the Avalanche, their soon-to-be new rivals, would say, wait a minute, hold the line here. Sorry, we're calling foul here. We're going to call a penalty. Delayed call coming up here. You can't do that. To quote my great friend Chris Davis, who's an Avalanche fan, you can't do that. Our team has already used the Yeti footprint as a logo. Hands off. That's ours. In a way like go screw yourself in a way, kind of. So I think if Yeti does get pulled out, I would go Utah Venom, which I think is a little bit interesting for that part, but I could see, though, kind of like in a way snake culture. But I would still, though, go with my top four being Swarm, Hive, Blizzard, and Yeti. I just would really think, though, that even though that they would be called the Yeti, I really could see the Avalanche saying, hey, sorry, no, hands off. We've already used that logo at one point in time. You can't have it. But again, I will continue, sadly, to kind of be in a fetal position about Buzz not making the cut or even Olympians making the cut. But I do think and do like, though, that there are some bee-related names that are a part of the branding that you can vote on. I would just be a little concerned, though, that if Yeti does win, though, that I could totally see something coming out of this from the Avalanche because they already have used the Sasquatch foot as a logo back in the day. So a couple of thoughts on the names. First from Jackie says, I really thought, honestly, Cal, that Utah would get the number one pick and pick Macklin Celebrini so they could give the team a jump start and have interest in the team from the get-go. Jack, I'll talk about the draft lottery in a second because I have to grill Isaiah Leung about this in a second. I see where you're coming from, my man, but at the end of the day, though, let's remember, though, Jack, that this team is already going to be good because they're inheriting the Coyotes, and that team did have some good talent on that roster already as is, and these guys are already like living, breathing superheroes. Josh Doan, for example, being a part of the team along the lines as well of like Lawson Krause and some other young budding stars. I get where you're coming from, my man. I really do. Just for the fact of like, hey, team's moving, give those fans a chance to really, get behind the team and give them a star. I sadly, though, Jack, would have kind of in a way raised the red flag a little bit of like, wait a minute, we're not going to do this again. We're not going to have hockey fans get riled up and start spreading conspiracy theories for the fact of what happened with Vegas, how the rules for the expansion draft were changed to help them in a way get to the Cup final in year one. That would have been my only concern, though, if that would have happened. Jack also says, I love that idea of the NHL letting fans to vote on the name. Now, actually, Jack, it's actually the owners. Ryan Smith is out here letting this fan base get this right. He also says that the fans pay the money and it's their team. Let them choose. Don't force a random name on them. That's why, Jack, I think that they're handling this so great. We're going to play this upcoming year with no name. Just the Utah hockey team for 1 year. to get this right, to get the branding right, the logo right, the colors right. Let's take the year to be called the Utah hockey team. So, Jack, I think you're absolutely right there. He also says, I've been to Salt Lake City several times. It's so nice and very pretty in the winter. I've been there. I've been through Utah a couple times. Beautiful city, beautiful state, very scenic. Driving through Grand Junction to get to Denver a couple times or Colorado a couple times, Jack, it's very scenic, very, very scenic. And this club is really going to succeed in SLC. Jack agrees about the Glaciers team name. I feel is more meant for Alaska. Blast, Mountaineers, and Frost best describe Utah, in my opinion. Again, I agree, Jack, in regards to like the Winter Blast in a way. The Mountaineers, I think about Brigham Young himself leading the Mountaineers through Utah when they first settled in the state. And again, the Frost. I do agree with that name for sure, or those names being a part of the 20. Jack also likes canyons. I agree 200%. It would work. It would work too because Utah has a ton of great, beautiful canyons. But I want a snow-like name. That's why, Jack, in my 4 in the bottom right, though I pick 5 inadvertently. That's why the 4 names I want minus Venom, 2 of them are beehive related or bee related, and 2 are wintertime names. I mean, we could go so many different directions with this list. Jack wanted to clarify for me. He says, "Hey Cal, just real quick, squall is a sudden burst of strong breeze." Thank you for that, man. I appreciate that a lot. Living in Southern California, I've never heard the term, so I'm glad to be know what that is now. And Jason agrees with me that he likes blizzard. Okay. Genius marketing idea. Who's on board? The Los Angeles Kings do the McFlurry minute via McDonald's every second period. If they score a goal in the last minute, everyone wins a free McFlurry. Let's get Dairy Queen on board for the Blizzard minute. If they score a goal in the last minute of a period, everyone goes home with a free Blizzard from DQ. Who's in? That would be a genius marketing tool as well, Jason. Other than tying in the name for the wintertime conditions. But who would not want to leave Delta Center after they beat San Jose or Seattle or Dallas and you go home with a free Blizzard if they win a game? Let's freaking go. I'm totally for that genius idea that I just conjured up here. But again, folks, if you want to get involved again, you can vote for the potential new NHL team name for Utah all the way through the 22nd of May. Again, there's 20 names on the left side of the list that you can vote from. Again, I narrow mine down to a top 10, then to a top 5. And again, you can vote for 4 names, 1 being your number 1, and then 4 being like least of your concerns. And again, my top 4, though I did a top 5 as well, in the yellow typeface is Swarm, Hive, Blizzard, Yeti, and Venom. But I would go Swarm, Hive, Blizzard, and Yeti, no particular order for those top 4 names. Let's, folks, move on now to the draft lottery held on Tuesday. And the draft lottery is set to be a huge event, especially for the San Jose Sharks, who secured the number 1 overall pick after finishing with the worst record in the league in 2023-2024. The draft is going to be a huge event for the Sharks, mainly because they can likely choose 17-year-old center, not forward. You know who I'm talking about. In Macklin Celebrini from Boston University as the consensus number 1 pick. The Sharks will hope to replicate and recreate the impact of last year's number 1 pick, Connor Bedard, who helped the Chicago Blackhawks sell $5.2 million worth of season tickets in less than 24 hours. Despite another bad season for the Blackhawks, they drew the 5th best attendance in the league this season. Celebrini's selection by San Jose will also make history for the league, as it will mark the first sporting event held at the Sphere in Las Vegas between June 28th and June 29th, according to League Commissioner Gary Bettman. However, the lottery was not without some small heart attack moments as fans of the league did raise some concern earlier in the afternoon when a photo that was promptly deleted by John Buchagras of the draft board appeared to leak the official draft order well before the event even aired on ESPN. Let me again, folks, quickly get this off my chest with our great, sarcasm noted, colleague Isaiah Leung, who had the utter audacity to spew on a IG live video over the past couple days that he watched this kid play in college. For one, Isaiah did not know that Boston University even existed. And all he literally did was screen grab a highlight of him scoring a goal. He never sat through 1 second of him playing in college and didn't know that he was a centerman, not a forward. Same guy who was a Sharks fan. No, he's a Kraken fan. No, he likes the Dallas Jets. I mean, Stars. So again, Isaiah, please spare us the BS when it comes to you talking hockey, please. It's nails on chalkboard. I hate to say it, bud. Regardless, I remember saying on Tuesday on C2C at Night that I got very concerned. Because I think, folks, we know as sports fans that the lottery for a draft can somewhat be a little bit helter-skelter. Patrick Ewing in the frozen envelope in 85 with the Knicks. However, it just feels like the NHL lottery mainly has come under more scrutiny and fire, I'd say within the last 4 seasons. Maybe even last decade, if not 2 decades. Famously, there was the Pittsburgh Penguins getting Sidney Crosby. And the theory there was that with the Penguins having so many financial troubles and on the verge of leaving Pittsburgh, the league had rigged the lottery in favor of Pittsburgh over the then Mighty Ducks of Anaheim to get Sidney Crosby. Then I also think back fairly recently to the year, I believe, before COVID, that there was a little bit of a mishap with the balls being put into the lottery machine. And then the top pick went to New York for Alexis Lafreniere. And there were a couple of teams who got hosed that year who had worse records than the Rangers. But with the lottery handler of the ping pong balls fumbling the ball before the last one went in, which happened to be New York, that was also a little bit of a red flag. Then came last year's draft lottery involving the Blackhawks and Ducks being the 2 worst teams. And a lot of fans thought it was going to be the Ducks getting Connor Bedard. But the lottery went in favor of Chicago. And a lot of fans out there cried wolf because Chicago had some skeletons in their closet dating back to their 2010 team who won the Stanley Cup, but also were victimized by sexual assault by members of the coaching staff and locker room staff that led to the ousting of many of the higher-ups in the Blackhawks front office and Joel Quenneville's resignation from the Florida Panthers. And it felt like the league had to reward one of the iconic franchises. Not the Arizona Coyotes, Isaiah. But that people felt like that the NHL was rewarding that original 6 staple franchise. And I know a lot of people like myself got concerned when it boiled down to the Sharks and Blackhawks in the lottery on Tuesday. Like, this is going to happen all over again. The Sharks may have had the best odds to win the lottery, but the league would somehow, some way, screw over another franchise who was not a iconic franchise in a major market like the Blackhawks, the Bruins, the Rangers, the Red Wings, the Maple Leafs, things like that. And I'm very happy that San Jose won it. For the fact of, it's finally, unlike Rick Carlisle in his remarks, it's finally a small market team who can say, ha, 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 I told you so. And I do think, though, that despite what Isaiah may have said about Macklin Celebrini, there will be a similar impact for the Sharks fan base. The Sharks were second to last in attendance last season, ranking 30 out of 32 in attendance. So this is going to be a great shot on the arm for that organization. Now, my only concern, though, would be, will he go right to the Sharks, or will Mike Greer and the hockey ops staff play this maybe the right way in people's minds and let Celebrini play 1 year in the American Hockey League with the San Jose Barracuda because of his age? Being 17 years old is a little bit not usually common in the NHL. Connor Bedard was the exception to the rule, though, and he was already 18 when he went to Chicago last season. But this will certainly help the Sharks with season ticket sales, jersey sales, merch sales, and hopefully help out the attendance. Because if the Bedard effect is anything what it did in Chicago, it will help in San Jose. I'm mainly more glad, though, that a small market team was not screwed again by that name of Chicago or Boston or New York, as we may have perhaps seen in the past. And also, I do believe, too, that a stat that I saw also said that this is the first time in, I think, 10 years, maybe shorter. This is the first time in quite a while, though, that the NHL draft order did not change at the lottery. Where everyone was at, they stayed. San Jose, Chicago, Anaheim, Columbus, top 4. So despite the leaked photo from John Buccigross and maybe some of our concerns, thankfully and mercifully, there was no repeat of last year's draft lottery, the mishandling of the ping pong balls a couple years ago when the Rangers got Lafreniere, or the Pittsburgh bankrupt issues that led to Crosby going there over him going to Anaheim. But this is a huge shot in the arm, though, for the Sharks. And again, I am mainly more happy that it's a small market franchise who gets this chance to land this potential franchise-altering superstar in Macklin Celebrini. I know about his connections with his dad being the Warriors trainer and stuff like that. But this is a huge shot in the arm, though, for that franchise. And mainly because, again, it's not going to be Chicago. It's not going to be an original 6 franchise who gets helped out by the league front office again, and they overlook a small market American-based franchise. But also, how poetic and funny is it, though, that the NHL will become the first sporting league to have an event at the Sphere, not the almighty NFL? Isn't it amazing? Isn't it just amazing, folks, how it's not always about the NFL? Isn't it refreshing, if you're not an NFL fan like yours truly, that it's a league not named the NFL who gets to have the first ever sporting event in a place like the Sphere in Vegas? It's not the NFL or Major League Baseball or the NBA. It would be what James calls it, a foreign sport that will take over this, entertainment mogul in Vegas. And it's not the NFL for once that gets to do something fun like this. It's like I say, sports are not always about the NFL. So again, folks, huge shot on the arm here for the San Jose Sharks. Once more, again, they, because of their record, they had the best odds to win the lottery, and thankfully they did over the Chicago Blackhawks. Going forward for the upcoming draft, which will be held over 2 days. Round 1 will be on June 28th, and then rounds 2 through 7 on the 29th. All of it at the Sphere in Las Vegas, Nevada, coming up in roughly a month's time. Coming up in roughly 30 or 62 days coming up here very, very soon. Jason also grilled Isaiah, saying that you mean the Vancouver Blues. That is his favorite team. Yeah, it's the St. Louis Blues in it's the St. Louis Blues and the Vancouver Canucks. Jason also did ask, Cal, should they do a original 6 tournament at some point? Jason, I'm a little bit confused about what you believe or what you're trying to get at here. I know a lot of fans have clamored for just one day where there's one day that is designated where it's just those 6 teams who play one day. Are you talking about like a playoff tournament, or is this like just something that you would want to like do in the preseason where it's just the 6 teams who began the league play? I would rather, I think, if you really want to educate hockey fans about like how long this sport's been going on, they really should do like one day. Like I would think like on the day of the league anniversary, there should be just one day where it's just those 6 teams who play. Bruins, Canadiens, the Leafs, the Red Wings, the Rangers, and Chicago. So, Jason, I would like a little bit like some small clarification about what you would do with that. But I think, though, that the NHL should celebrate like on their anniversary day of the first ever game that was played. It should only be those 6 teams who play. But I like where you're going at, though, but I would like a little bit more insight on the tournament idea that you have. Jack also writes, I thought he was a Kraken fan. Jack, he's a fake hockey fan. He literally just doesn't know what it is, honestly. And Jack, and thank you, Jack. Don't worry, we Kraken fans do not claim him. I know Sarge, our buddy Sarge, who lives up there, doesn't claim him either. Jason says, Cal, it'd be more or less the one-day event and give history and such. That would, and James, that's been floated around by a lot of us hockey fans out there, is that one day, it's just those 6 teams who play to talk about the nostalgia, the lore of the Bruins and Canadiens rivalry, for example. You know, the Rangers and Chicago and Detroit and the Maple Leafs. Like, more or less, I agree. It'd be a one-day event where it's just those 6 teams who play, and those are the only games on the schedule. I absolutely agree at this rate. Jack also says, Cal, it's simple. The league could not afford or let Chicago get the number 1 pick again, because if they had it on back-to-back years, that would be extremely suspicious that it's rigged. That's why they put Chicago at number 2. Jack, you hit the nail on the head, my friend. Literally, if it was 2 years in a row of them winning the lottery, there'd be more alarm bells being sounded by the fans. Of like, stop catering to the original 6 teams. Help out your small market franchises and help out those in non-traditional hockey markets like San Jose or Anaheim or LA. Jack also says, didn't Isaiah say that he watched Macklin Celebrini play at BU and gave an in-depth scouting report on him? I watched that and laughed my ass off. He is not a forward for one thing. It happened, Jack. Literally, man, it was nails on chalkboard. Jack, it's the same guy who said he didn't realize that Boston University didn't even exist. And then he says, and then number 2 said he's slick. What does that even mean? Slick is not even a hockey slang term. So again, Jack, whatever you do, buddy, when it comes to that, to our great esteemed colleague on Kicking It, Talking Hockey, please don't buy it for one bit. Jason with the big question. Callan, will they ever put a team back in Arizona? All right, J-Mac. It's as simple as this, buddy. Alex Marullo has 5 years to figure this out. So, Jason, what I can tell you right now, buddy, Alex Marullo has to win a public auction for about 70 acres of land on June 27th. If he wins this public auction, he has to build a 16,000-seat arena and practice venue on this parcel of land that used to be a landfill, and the Coyotes are back as a franchise. He technically owns the Coyotes name, image, logo. Jason, it's just like the Browns when they left in 95 and came back in 99. But a lot of people are doubting the project because of financing, because of a lot of factors right now with the auction. The mayor of the city basically said, we don't want you here, practically in a roundabout way. So the league, though, Jason, still has the door open, but it's a very, very steep mountain to climb. It again, Jason, it will revolve around whether or not Alex Marullo wins a public land auction to build this new arena. And if it does not happen, I don't see a team back in Arizona. There were some other reports I read that the Coyotes tried to work something out with the Suns to play again at Footprint Center like they did back in 96. And the Coyotes walked away from the table at some point. They've tried like they've tried the Arizona Veterans Memorial Coliseum in right near the state fairgrounds. That also didn't come to fruition because the building is too old. So, Jason, it just boils down to the fact of you have to win an auction. And if not, you're screwed. And I just don't see, Jason, if this does not go their way, I don't see the team or the sport going back to the market. Because, J-Mac, it's like I said a while back, though, like the NHL finally had the hourglass run out on the waiting game of this arena being built. So that's the gist of the story, Jason, like the Cliff Notes version. I hope, though, that the team can come back, though, because of how youth hockey has exploded in Arizona. I talked, I think, 2 weeks ago about my friend Austin Burke, who's now a big-name country star in Nashville. He grew up playing hockey in Arizona. He sang the national anthem for the Coyotes during COVID when they were in the bubble up in Edmonton from his bathroom, pre-recorded. He's proud of his roots as a Arizona sports fan in being a Coyotes fan. Austin Matthews, who led the league in scoring in the regular season, who plays for the Maple Leafs, is from Arizona, as is his teammate Matthew Nice, who's also from Arizona. Josh Doan, his son Shane, is a staple of that Coyote franchise who played for like 20 years with them. He's on the team now in Utah. I would just hate, though, to see like the youth of Arizona lose out on watching pro hockey and being inspired to play this foreign game in that city, in that state. Because the junior Coyotes and the Arizona Cachinas, their girls programs, have been so good. Like, there's been great talent playing there. So who knows? But I really, Jason, hope that they can come back. But I just don't see it being a viable option if they don't win this auction coming up in June. Also, Jason is asking, Callan, do you believe that SLC becomes the next big sports city in America? I still think it's Vegas right now. That, though, hinges on what happens with the Oakland Athletics. Could it be Sacramento, who maybe becomes a big-name sports market now if this trial run of 3 years in Sacramento goes well for them, with the A's going to Sutter Health Ballpark where the AAA River Cats play? Jason, though, I would agree, though, maybe. I still want to say Vegas. I would throw Sacktown in there. But I definitely think SLC is getting there. Dale Murphy has a group right now to bring Major League Baseball there. Now we have the NHL going there. A very successfully run right now NBA operation. 2 really good soccer clubs in RSL and the Utah Royals. Why not? I could see it being a thing. And the beauty about the relocation, the league doesn't have to realign. They will stay in the Central Division when they currently play their games. So, Jason, I would think yes. I think you're onto a great point. I would definitely think that Salt Lake City is up there right now when it comes to becoming the next big sports city. I still want to say Vegas because of the Golden Knights' success, the WNBA success with the Aces winning back-to-back championships. The Raiders are the Raiders. Maybe Major League Baseball. Maybe the NBA eventually. I do kind of want to say Sacramento because now you could be adding a second pro team to compensate for the Kings in the NBA. But I think, Jason, you're onto a good point. I do think that SLC could be the next big sports city in America. Especially, Jason, too, like I said earlier in the segment, because of wintertime activities. You put that hockey team there, and now you have people who love the snow and go to Utah for a ski trip or a snowboarding trip. And if they're a hockey fan, bang, they can now schedule a trip around their hockey team playing in Salt Lake City. So, Jason, I think you're onto something. Jack also asked, hey, Cal, real quick off topic, who do you believe Seattle hires to replace David Hackstall? Honestly, Jack, I'm not sure. I will wait and see once the year comes to a conclusion about if coaches are retained. Honestly, Jack, I hate to say it, but I would think Sheldon Keefe, who just got his walking papers safe from the Maple Leafs. He would be probably the candidate number 1. Also, Jack, I'm sure you know, but I don't know if people out there know, though. By the numbers, NHL head coaches are fired at a higher percentage rate than other sports in North America for professional sports. So, Jack, I would probably lean towards recently fired Sheldon Keefe again, who was given the axe today on Thursday as the next head coach. Gerard Gallant maybe could become the next head coach if he's willing to, become, kind of go through a rebuild again. That's about all I can think of, honestly, is just those 2 names. But we'll see what happens. Last but not least, folks, over in IndyCar racing, but Team Penske and Roger Penske has dropped the hammer and suspended 4 team members on the eve coming up of the Indy 500, including the team president, managing director, and 2 engineers for their involvement in a cheating scandal involving illegal software. Holy cow. They will miss the upcoming 2 races. The investigation conducted by Penske's legal team found no malicious intent, but rather a breakdown in internal processes and miscommunication. Despite the scandal, team president Roger Penske, team owner, said that he would move forward and hold their heads high. The scandal came about and came to light after the IndyCar race in St. Petersburg, Florida, where the winner, Josef Newgarden, and teammate Scott McLaughlin were disqualified for illegally using a push-to-pace system, which boosts a car's horsepower. 3 of Penske's cars were found to have illegal software installed that allowed drivers to use that function during starts and restarts of races, which is against the IndyCar rules. The software glitch also happened during the warm-up of the Long Beach Grand Prix as well, and exposed their illegal software, leading to an investigation that revealed that the software had been installed throughout the season for IndyCar racing. Newgarden also admitted to using it several times, or mainly 3 times, in races. Furthermore, Penske, who bought IndyCar in the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in 2018, emphasized their responsibility to ensure such incidents do not happen again. Furthermore, Tim Kronick, the team's operations manager, and Rob Rzuski, the managing director, took responsibility for the situation, and both will face suspension. Those suspensions come as Team Penske seeks to win its 20th Indy 500. Penske further expressed regret for the errors and the impact it has had on their sport. You don't, folks, hear a lot about these sort of ordeals. But we do know, folks, that auto racing does have a lot of really weird rules in place when it comes to you can't go so fast out of pit road. You can't do this, you can't do that, or you're going to be docked points in the standings, or in this case, suspensions. And for Roger Penske, seem to be caught in hot water here is a little bit rough, I think, for Indy car racing. But the simple fact, though, folks, of especially in auto racing, the smallest of mistakes, though, are met with some very harsh penalties. Fines were also dubbed out. Drivers were docked points in the standings. And ultimately, Roger Penske got fed up and suspended 4 of his team members for their actions in this entire ordeal. But again, the simplest of infractions of illegal software being used here, not like a guy going 10 miles an hour off over the speed limit coming off pit road, but software in the vehicles becomes the talking point now of suspensions, and kind of puts a cloud right now, in a way, over Penske in the Indy 500. But I also, though, folks, do credit like NASCAR, Formula One. I give auto racing folks so much credit. Like, the simplest of mistakes don't go unharmed. Like, there is harsh punishment. And I love that there is a no BS mentality in auto racing to prohibit and stop drivers and teams from bending the rules even in the slightest of way. And I hope that this does, in fact, kind of in a way, raise some, like open some eyeballs here. Try it. You're going to get suspended in some capacity. And I also think, though, that Roger Penske, the owner of Team Penske, great job. Bravo. Way to handle the situation to kind of, in a way, nip this in the butt before the 500 does, in fact, happen in a couple of weeks. Auto racing should be the measuring stick, or the, like, this is how you handle suspensions when you have allegations of cheating. Looking at Rob Manfred and how he handled the Astros in 2017. More than anything else, though, I think it's more props, I think, to Roger Penske for saying, I'm not tolerating this crap. And I'm going to suspend 4 members of my team, make them suffer the consequences of their actions, and hopefully put a stop to this stuff happening across our sport. I think it's a little bit more troubling that it's 3 of the cars that Penske has running that had the illegal software on them, and that they got caught red-handed during the Long Beach Grand Prix. So, folks, we'll see what happens out of this year. But again, folks, Team Penske has popped 4 members of their team, including the team president, their managing director, and 2 engineers for involvement in a software-style cheating scandal that will last for 2 full races. Roger Penske, the team owner, said he will move forward. But again, Roger did not mince his words, though, and also did I think establish the measuring stick about how to handle cheating going on in a sport. And I think, though, again, auto racing, really, folks, I really would agree. There's no folding around here. Like, you cannot beat the system whatsoever when it boils down to trying to cheat the system one way or another, come hell or high water. With that in mind, folks, a tremendous show today. Great viewership. Thanks again to Jason and Jack for tuning in today, folks. We are going to be back on air later tonight on Kicking It, hopefully around 8 p.m. local time, Pacific time here today. We'll come back at you, folks, roughly in 2 weeks' time again for Press Row. Again, we'll be off next Thursday with me fulfilling some work obligations. Next Thursday, we'll come back at you the following Thursday, May 23rd, back here at 12 noon or 1 p.m. Pacific time. Again, a huge shout-out again to Jason Barber and Jack Braun for tuning in and joining us today, folks. We'll see you back here again later on Thursday for Kicking It, and a full slate of programs coming our way, folks, or your way, I should say, over the weekend, including Cougars football again Saturday night, 6 p.m. versus the Capital Pioneers at 6 p.m. from Eugene, Oregon, folks. Until next time, yours truly, Callan McClurg, saying good day or good night. We'll see you back here again later on for Kicking It around 8 p.m. Pacific time, 10 o'clock Central, 11 o'clock Eastern, back here on your home for programming for sports, life, and everything in between on Coast to Coast Entertainment, folks. Till next time, good day. Bye-bye.